Alright guys, so today I wanted to make a quick video about some placements in the birth chart that might mirror symptoms of depression, or I'm not going to say that you're more prone to depression because there's different ways that these placements can manifest, but it's just I've picked up on, people having these behaviors with some of these placements. So let me know what your placements are and if it lines up with you. And if you struggle with depression, and obviously I always encourage therapy, so if you're struggling, definitely go seek help, go seek a therapist. So one common one I see is if your moon is in the fourth house. And why? It's because the fourth house is very private. So on one hand, the moon in the fourth house might be healthy, right? And they just feel safe in their home environment, in their room, and they're more private people. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes these people do isolate because they do feel emotions so deeply and so private, and they kind of isolate from the world and everything around them. And so it's one thing if you're just a private person, but it's also another thing if you are not living according to your values and you're just sitting at home, sulking in your emotions, but also not happy. Then the other placement I've noticed is if your moon is in the eighth house. It's interesting because the eighth house is a house that's very much about control. So these people do try to keep things at bay and try to control their emotions, and nobody may know what's going on under the current, but they feel emotions, any emotions, so extremely that if something, and in the eighth house, right, the individual is more likely to be pulled into situations of extreme transformation and extreme, pain at times, that can pull them into a depression. And then there's also the moon in the 12th house, which the moon in the 12th house, it may not necessarily be depression. It's just a constant sense of isolation because they just don't know what they're feeling or how to deal with it. So that's more like, I think, escapist tendencies that can come out of the 12th house. And then the other placement I've noticed is the moon with Saturn. I think the moon in opposition to Saturn or in conjunction, right? The moon in opposition to Saturn is like there's some external circumstance in my life. Like it could be a health issue. It could be, people around you that they're not giving you space, or you feel like they're not allowing you the energy to understand your emotions. And also then the moon conjunct Saturn, right? There is a restriction in allowing emotions to flow through your body. Like it could be that you think it's a sense of weakness. It could be that you were not allowed to express vulnerability growing up. It was seen as weak, or you just had to grow up as a little adult, basically. And so, you carry a lot of weight, and eventually, what you resist persists, and you will be forced to deal with emotional energy at some point in your life, which can weigh very, very heavy on you and be a major lesson. And so you'd have to work through that. Also, if moon is in contact to your Chiron, because Chiron is the wound in our chart, and with moon, then the moon is like, your emotions, or sometimes the moon in Pluto energy, although sometimes people can use that moon Pluto energy as a very resilient, as a very determined energy if it's placed correctly. But yeah, so if you have any of these placements or other placements that I didn't list, let me know what your experiences are. And the little that I know about therapy, because I have gone through intensive OCD therapy, is that you definitely just have to focus on one little triumph a day. You know what I mean? Don't try to fix or take on the whole world or heal your emotions in one day. I know a lot of us have impatient, restless energy that think it's going to work that way. And also from what I know, it's that healing is never linear. And I also want to point out that sometimes you can use transits and even your progress chart to kind of see when, if you have those placements, they'll be tested, and there could be major success in you, dealing with or healing, these symptoms of depression you may or may not have. So anyways, drop a comment below and let me know.